I'm not seeing it, Tony.
It's not up yet.
I just now see it on Facebook. It says Tony Rathman is now live.
Good evening and welcome to Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence. I'm Tony Rathman.
I'm Chris Allgood.
And I'm Audrey Keeler.
Cherie is hopefully going to be joining us later. She had to run out for a moment, go pick up her daughter from work. But tonight we have a very special guest. Tonight we have Keith Bailey, who is both paranormal investigator and researcher. He is a very popular paranormal guest speaker. And Keith, you have a bunch of stuff going on that you're Vulture City Paracon, which I think got pushed back though, didn't it? A month or two or three?
It did. That was a governor thing. But so Virginia City though is this weekend, so that's going to be a go. We leave for that Friday morning.
Awesome. And then you're also the host with Sam on Paranormal Rewind, correct? And what days does that run?
So it's on Tuesday evenings, depending on the time. I know for me it's 6 o'clock Central, and then it varies on your different times across the, of course, where you are, United States. But 6 o'clock for me here, Texas time.
Nice.
And Sam's a blast to work with. So we really are now. It's as a show starts, to become on the air, and then from there we just really have it's so fun and comical. His side, and then what I bring in laughter. That people are like, you two were meant to work together because we laugh. Then there are serious times, but it's all in all, we get to actually interview some of the most amazing, well-known, respected people in the paranormal. So I'm actually blessed to be a part of that journey with Sam.
That's awesome. That is so cool. So for our audience, Keith, why don't you start out by just giving a little background? I mean, how and when did you get into the paranormal? How that path unfolded for you and brought you to where you are today?
Wow. So take a minute, kind of maybe grab a tissue because it's emotional, but it's tough for me every time. So at 13 years old, I went through a near-death experience. I had an anaphylactic reaction to a medicine called Torcan, and it caused me to be in respiratory arrest. From that, sadly, I went and had even a worse situation. But from that, I actually went and I was with my grandmother. I was with my grandmother during this time when I knew I wasn't with myself. And she was literally just to my right the whole time. And as I would start to ask a question, she would just put her hand on me, and it just made me comfort. And it gave me the answers that she didn't even have to talk. The bluest of waters, the bluest of skies, the most beautiful flying birds overhead. And during this whole time, I sit there just knowing, okay, I'm not where I was before, but she would look at me and smile. So right about the time I'm starting to ask another question, she just motions me to look up. And then there's the thing that you always hear about, that you see your life. And I remember that it was by years. It was me being a baby. There I was as a baby. And then she smiled. And then there I was as a little 1-year-old. I would run across with my little brother. And then I was 2 and I was up playing with toys, and 3, and just every year in increments, right up to when I was playing baseball. And I remember running the bases. And then as I ran the bases, I literally went back and said, "Oh wow, I knew that I was somewhere totally different." So with that being said, I tell you, I was blessed to get to experience something that, for me, it made me a better person, because when I came back, I think my gift was to get to tell people there is a place. And I do that now. That's when I tell people about walking in the light. Listen, friend, and I shared this with John Tenney, and he shares a much different story. But his was one of darkness where he was. Mine was a place of light. And I tell people, I say, you think you're in a place where things are so bad because it's raining outside today? There are a lot of other people that are in much worse situations. So you often see me talk about that, walking in the light. And so I think that's where it got me to where I'm at in the paranormal now, is actually a clairvoyant woman saw me one day and says, I have to ask you a question. I said, only if I can ask you one. She says, have you died before? And I says, how do you know? And then she says, when you go to places and you do your paranormal, do the spirits automatically say your name? I says, all the time. And she says, honey, it's because you glow. You actually are pure white. When I saw you come in the room, you're just white.
Wow.
And then I knew that must be how the spirits see me. So I guess now from this, I guess that's maybe why I get the evidence I do, is because it's kind of like they're saying, okay, Keith, we're going to show you this a little bit more and a little bit more, but go back and use it in good faith and show them, tell them, say this is a real place. So I think that's my gift.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that have had near-death experiences and say that it either opened up doors to the paranormal side or enhanced their abilities. In fact, one of them is in the square down below you, and Chris had the same situation when he had a heart attack and was basically told he shouldn't have lived. But Chris always says that experience had really profounded his abilities to be able to sense them around and know that they're there, and so very, very interesting.
So we share something together special. Wow.
It's a definitely a unique bond. I was sensitive prior to that, but the minute my heart attack happened and I was in the hospital, it's like somebody turned on a light switch and opened up a new door. It was amazing. Exactly. I believe that's what the gift we have. So we're the chosen ones, maybe, to go out and spread that light and love now. I like that. I like that way. I like the way you put that, Keith. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing. All right. Well, with that said, let's get into the evidence that Keith supplied. And the first one that I'm going to play is called Angels Coming, and it's from the Ohio State Penitentiary. So, Keith, you want to give a little bit of background on this?
We were actually with Gina and Bob there at the Ohio State, and a huge facility is where they filmed the Shawshank Redemption. And that place is so one of the most paranormally active places I've been. Just every turn in space and room. So as we went in the kind of the chapel area that leads from a very dark area, ironically, down a hallway to this chapel. So there was a moment when we had our equipment on, actually had a device to where the spirits were coming through, and a very dark sounding voice was like telling us, leave, go, all the forms. And you heard this female spirit, help me. And of course, one of the other people with me is like, are you there? Can you see a light? Can you make your way to the light? Well, right about that time, as we tried to help her, 3 people at the same time all started feeling like, oh, I'm going to get sick. Oh, and they started, and another one said, I'm going to pass out. Now, these aren't we were actually all of us investigating, but it just went boom, like this cast of, and they're like, oh, and I said, okay, hard stop, get out of here, get back outside, let's get to a safe room. We did. fortunately, I had a moment that had even some holy water. One of them was really affected, and we said some prayers. All came back together and said we need to go back to investigate in another place because we need to continue on. So what you'll hear is we went down to the basement in solitary confinement. We were going and we were investigating. And when I actually asked the spirits, is there any message they have for us? Is there something they'd like to say? We actually were able to get this this message. And this is actually what you'll hear.
Okay.
Awesome. Great explanation of this.
Great intro.
Yeah, that was great.
Clip. So for our audience, and unfortunately, Keith, you won't actually get to see it because it doesn't play over Zoom. It plays over OBS. But for our audience, here is the clip that Keith was just explaining, and here it comes.
Okay, are you showing yourself to me?
I know where my reference hammer.
Sorry.
Are you coming? Can you come to me? Did you just say coming? Come show yourself. Use your energy and come to me. That was really nice. I saw you. Are you happy? There was one while ago brighter than our flashlight. Are you coming? Oh, are you protecting us? That's, I know, and that could have been for the thing that this is about. And she said, are you okay? Because you need help, go to the right. So if she's like saying thank you, she's saying angels came. That's why the late response is you continue to remember what you said, because back then they said angels came. That's why it's a whole, it's a top.
Wow. That was amazing. I mean, you can clearly hear them say, you know, that they were coming, they were on their way.
Yeah, that was way cool.
Yeah, so that, yeah, go ahead, Dave. Very Chris.
You're good, bud. Go ahead.
No, in that time in there, there was a moment of where it lifted to where even in the darkness of solitary, and then that space, that it was that moment that, you know, good outweighs evil, you know, in the afterlife. And we were able to say, hey, you know, and it was almost as if it was a tortured spirit. You could tell that we just, and I went back and actually even my own time off to myself said a prayer for that spirit, wherever they may be in that space. And when they said it back to me, and maybe it was that last little thumbs up to say, hey, we got you, we got her taken care of, then it was a peace. And I left there like, wow, what an investigation. So many things though, between pictures and evidence that we gathered, that was, I want to go back there because we only got to see about a fourth of this whole place. It's amazing. If you've never been there, it's so beautiful place. Beautiful.
Wow.
But that's cool that you say that you left them at peace, because it almost makes you wonder, being solitary confinement in the Ohio State Penitentiary, if it was more of a not that the angels are coming, but if it was more of a wish that they were stuck there and that's what they were hoping for.
Right. And that's a good point. That's that thing that we are never able to be given an email maybe from heaven or say, this is what, your follow-up to what was, but it makes us, at least when we hear those angelic words, halo, angel, peace, those things, that it's that kindness and purity that we're kind of left with as our resolve when we leave there. And it's until we meet again. And I know we all felt like this happiness when we left. There was tears of like joy, and the ones who were affected were like, thanks, Keith. I was like, look, I just was maybe the conduit for peace at that moment to say, look, help this poor tortured soul, remove the living to get us so they're no longer afflicted. And then we have to go forward and just pray that this entity is able to, its soul is able to find the light and then get to it and then to move forward in happiness. So it was tough to hear that voice of darkness that was kind of holding them there. Yeah. That we said, not today.
That's awesome. Wow. Hey, what device were you using there, Keith? Was that a spirit box?
So it's called a Phasma box. And the program, I kind of, guess if you will, have kind of vetted it. And I could tell you, if I've got just a moment to tell you about it, I've actually used it when I lost my twin brother, of how things that only he would know. And that when I used the Phasma box and got the answers, I was like, I think this thing is more than just maybe that it's just an app. It actually gave answers to that. And if we've got a moment, I could just tell that little quick story. It's about a minute long.
Sure.
When the week before I lost my brother, Tuesday, he wanted to kind of say, well, this is it. I'm not going to last the week. And I knew it. And I was very, it was upsetting. But he says, you do that ghost stuff, don't you? I said, yes, Kevin, I do. And I said, but I'm going to reach out to you. I'm going to be doing that. And I'm going to try to contact you. And he laughed. Of course, he made a joke. What are you going to do? Call me on the telephone? So that Sunday I lost him. And I gave it a few days after the funeral that I said, and I finally, there was a moment to where it was like, he's saying, okay, call me. Like right then I felt this just around me. So I did. And no sooner did I sit there and I had it on and I'm sitting there and I hear Keith, a really loud, and I go, Kevin, is that you? Kevin, it's your brother, Keith. Can you hear me? I'm trying to call you. And this is what he says. Yeah, I know, on that telephone.
Wow.
Wow. So the voice, his words before he passed and then after. So that's only him. He only knew that he made that before he passed and then after he passed. And then I heard a tiny little laugh, like a giggle, like, and I went, all right, Kevin, well, I want you to be with Dad and be with peace. You're going to be together. And I hear him say, I know. Wow. So it's just chilling how these things that we do in this, even when it affects us and it's a family member, that we can know that that's how we go forth and help other people who've lost family members to maybe give that peace to them, that it's okay. They're in a place now of happiness. They're not suffering. They're not in pain, right, but a place of happiness.
Yeah, that's awesome. So true. And that's, like Chris said, that's awesome. And like you said, to be able to share those captures, like you said, with somebody who may be grieving over the loss of a loved one, that may help. Just provide that sense of confidence that, hey, it's not over, that life continues. It may not be here and it may not be on this plane, but it does go on. So.
And maybe they're probably a lot better off than what we are right now. They're somewhere where there's no meanness or hate or anger or, sadness and suffering. They're in a place of beauty and together and love. And I often say when my day comes and I get to be at a place as that is in heaven, it's going to be okay. It's at least it's a place where we're all together in love and harmony. So that's okay with me.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so true, Keith. So true. All right. Well, the next one piece of evidence I want to play from Keith is from Fort Mifflin, and it is entitled Humming. Keith, you want to give a background on this one?
So this is really cool. So I had been there with Sam, and John was there, and then James and Ito's little boy, Caleb.
Okay,
and
hold on.
Caleb's...
I'll stop you right there a second, but that was the question that I wanted to know, because I heard a little boy that was probably somewhere between the ages of 8 and 10 at the most. So there was a little boy there. Right.
So he was. But if you notice, as he came up, we kind of shushed him. But Sam had already picked up on a child spirit. Clearly, he said, he goes, now there's a child spirit here. I'm kind of getting that. Some here. Somehow there's a child spirit. And so as James's son Caleb come up, we got him real near and got him to be totally quiet. And then you'll hear him ask, he'll mention, can I say something? And then you'll hear this very faint where this comes from around this space. And we knew it wasn't him because he had got real quiet and we had to shh. And then he didn't say anything. So we know it wasn't him because John had him right there like in his lap. And he said it wasn't him. He didn't do it. Wow. So, but you'll hear how this little child spirit tries to kind of play at him like, hey, play with me. And you'll hear it. It's really, really cool.
All right. Well, let me play that one then for our audience. And here it comes. We hear a few more minutes. Now's your chance. Wow, I mean, you can hear that clear as a bell, that humming in there.
Yeah, right. And you know how kids kind of pick at each other and play and do little, hey, I'm over here, or hey, this little quiet. So we knew that with that childlike spirit was kind of, until Caleb came in there, and then he was like, oh, well, there's a kid here now. I'll open up to you. So when we had said be quiet, it's almost like that little spirit heard that, but he was like, hey, Caleb, trying to reach out to him. So that was really cool.
So Caleb became your trigger object right there.
Right.
Well, we talked about that. And, kids, there's so much discussion about how kids see childhood spirits. And there's been a lot of talk and discussions in the paranormal and even children's psychology that these parents bring them to these places. And my child says he's playing with an imaginary friend, and I want this stopped. This can't go on. And there's so much now that's starting to lean more towards could it be that the loved ones from our own, family that has passed, maybe they passed before they got to meet this child. They're coming back to say, hey, I'm your grandfather. I never got to meet you. There's so much innocence to them and not hardly any negativity in a child that they're able to kind of have that opened up, and they see it in a way that we won't, because we have so many binders on in life and negativity that we don't often see the things maybe that are right in front of us. But children have these encounters and they carry on pure conversations and see them and everything else. So that's my beliefs that I'm seeing now more so when I talk to parents, that they say there's something in their home. And I actually ask them, so what if we find out that there is a child a spirit. And they're like, okay, as long as it's not going to hurt them, there you go.
Right.
More times than not, it never does. And there's never anything dark to it. It's just, it's purity to me. It's just something trying to say, hey, I was your grandfather. I'm here. I would love to have met you. That's how they meet them now. So,
yeah.
I couldn't agree with.
There's some real truth to that, though. The fact that, like you said, kids aren't blinded by, or don't have those blinders on by life and the negativity, then the struggles, and so there are many documented cases where children are seeing things that most adults won't see, having experiences, and there's also many documented cases where the invisible childhood friend really has some substance to it. So that's a very good point.
And that's not that it's a bad thing. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm living proof. I mean, my first experience was I was 5 years old. My father was a caretaker at a cemetery in our hometown, and I was playing with a child in the cemetery that my father didn't see. So I can tell you right now, living, walking, talking proof that it's, as a child, that's when my first experiences started.
And they're not all bad, right? They're not. No. People always say they're bad. So much may be coming from the South, the Christianity, and that anything paranormal is bad. Oh, I don't talk to spirits, so I don't do that. Right. And I say, well, who's the most holiest of spirits?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, our Holy Spirit. And in that light, I say, well, he's the most holiest of spirits. Well,
and people talk to him all the time.
That's right.
We pray to him. We pray. And, well, you can't do that. And I'm like, I pray to him. I don't physically. I see him. I don't go to McDonald's. We drive to the checkout together. Right. But, I pray to him and I say, Father, please give me peace. So I turn that around and they kind of look around and they say, okay, touche, good point.
Right, right.
That's why I try to make this. Maybe that's what we are in the paranormal, is to take the whole side of para by the side of normal, which is a base or foundation, and we marry that and we try to make the maybe paranormal a little bit more normal. We explain it to people to say this is our assessment, and then we monitor them, carry on, and go from there. But Chris had his experiences when he was little. He didn't turn out to have little horns and devil wings and flying around screaming at people. So
I don't know if my wife would agree with you on that one, Keith.
Maybe on the weekends, but I'm not there, and it's fine. You seem like a good guy to me. Tony knows you. If Tony knows you, he's not going to keep bad company. I've already figured that guy's like, no, you got to go.
That.
You're absolutely right, though, Keith. Anything that's unknown or not understood, there's an automatic fear that goes with it. And I think paranormal definitely falls within that category. You've got investigators and people that have an interest in it and will take those chances. But then you've got people that one mention of the word and they're like, no, I want nothing to do with that. And it's a fear that, in some rare cases is understood, but for the most part exaggerated to a point where, we've been doing this almost a decade. I think I just come in, but only run into maybe 3-4 at the most cases that were actually very dangerous and presented extreme physical dangers. But that's 3 out of 10 years of hundreds of places we've been. So
exactly. In fact, having again another friend who's into demonology, James, I'm just am blessed to have him as a friend because he continually tries to educate me, and and him and Carl both, right? The Conjuring House. My God, one of the most well-known demonologists in the field. So both of them collectively has even said, let me know that it's a very small percentage in our industry that is truly the dark. That D word, but. And what it is for all of us that we see, that we just have that recognition of that it's potentially that, we back out, we call them, and they have that training to move forward. And but we've all very rarely experienced that. It's so rare so for the most part, we can manage and mitigate what is out there in the darkness. All that is darkness is not demonic. And so many people try to turn it to that.
Right.
And it's kind of for us to use that good knowledge. And maybe it's from being a firefighter all those years. We went into the darkness, the smoke, the darkness of night and the heat and God, but we had to keep pushing forward. And that's kind of almost what the paranormal is a lot, is removing the smoke, all the mirrors and what is it really? What are we really dealing with? And sometimes our own demons can be the person that's causing that darkness.
Very true.
And we have to untie that and say, stop, time out. You're kind of having depression and drugs and alcohol. And is it any wonder you're in this darkness? So we have to bring them out of that and find that light, maybe help them find that light. And then and only then are they able to say, okay, I have a peace now. So that's why it's so much of the history of what we are and what we do in our real life as a world that helps us to be that better investigator. And I think it's helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's
Couldn't agree more.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And you know what? Some of that darkness that people get, some of the angry spirits that get recorded on some of the stuff that we use, a lot of people go, "Oh my God, does that mean it's evil?" Well, no. So we live by the theory is if he was a jerk during life,
He's a jerk.
he's probably a jerk after.
He doesn't grow angel wings when he's in the line upstairs calling Bob, step forward. Pick up your angel wings on aisle 5. It's not going to happen. So I think there's that time they get to go sit out, and maybe the big man gives them one more chance. Okay, do you want to make good on this and turn it around or not? And if they say, look, I'm happy being mean, he goes, okay, go do your meanness. Off you go.
Right.
And so I don't know about you, but if I got another shot at it, I'd be like, I'm sorry. Let's work this out. Where do I pick up my angel wings? I'm sorry, but and I couldn't agree more. I found that as well. And I asked, hey, what kind of person was Uncle Bob? Oh, everybody hated him. The neighbors hated him.
There you go.
The mayor hated him. Well, he's probably not a very happy guy, this Bob guy. So at the end of the day, poor Bob is stuck in a place of darkness, and he's going to continue to have that against us. But we just pray for the living and get them resolved and hopefully move forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well said.
Very true. Great point, Keith. All right, so the next one I'm going to play is one titled Gina's Spirit Birthday.
Wow. You're talking about an experience that yet again brings us to tears. So we were at Pinthurst, actually, and I forget exactly what building we were in. There was probably about maybe 7 of us or so total. We had started interacting with this spirit, and it's the longest period of ask a question, get an answer, ask a question, get an answer from a spirit ever in my life have I ever experienced. We laughed, we cried, we sang happy birthday. Oh, everybody there walked away, and I says, I think we literally shared something that is in paranormal history. Even the experienced ones there, and the person that was there for the first time in the paranormal says, was that supposed to happen? Was that supposed to happen? Do you normally talk to him that long? Is it that long? We looked at each other and says, no, never, ever, never. But for 20 minutes, we got this back and forth. So I will never forget that experience. And I was there with the likes of course, Johnny Zaffis had been there. Wow. Actually, it was very nice of him. When he actually saw me and my equipment, and I've gotten to love Johnny. He's an inspiration to me, but he goes, hey, kiddo, looks like you got it, and he's, he kind of stepped outside because it was hot, probably 100 degrees out there that night. And he said, looks like you got it. And man, at the investigation we had, but it was fun. So when you hear this one, you just hear us back and forth talking and experiencing, but what a memorable investment. I want to go back there because now the research is going to see, does the spirit stay in maybe that space and reinvestigate that very place by the pool, because to see if that spirit named Gina, and actually Bob, Christopher and Gina Minkston put that event on. So that was when we said it was a Gina there. She's like, well, she had to be nice. and she was. And she laughed and we says, yes, she was. But when we asked the spirit, what's your name? Boom, we got an answer. How old are you? She gives an age. What is, anything special? Or it's my birthday. And we're like, what? Just wow. But I think they'll enjoy this one for sure.
All right. Well, let me play this for our audience, and here it comes now.
Games do you want to play?
Yeah. Going back and forth. Gina, do you like playing games? Is this fun?
How old are you, Gina?
Gina, how old are you? Can you tell me how old you are?
3.
Oh. Maybe she did say 38. 38. She just corrected. She just said it again. Are you 38?
Have you ever seen lights like this before?
I'm not playing. That's okay.
Happy birthday. It's a crazy year.
It's your birthday and it's crazy in here.
Is it your birthday, Gina? Is it your birthday?
Do you want us to sing for you?
Happy birthday, Gina.
Happy birthday. Yes. We could sing. Want to sing?
Let me tell you something, guys. This is the most
cool.
intelligence
Really?
I've ever had.
Nice.
Look, it's like, I think it,
Everything's going on.
she wants to sing happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday, Gina.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gina. Happy birthday to you.
Yay. And many more.
Did you like that, Gina?
Maybe not.
Did you like the singing, Gina?
The candles.
Can you say that again?
Having a drop down.
I'm right there.
I'm right there.
Maybe not right.
Thank you for being here with us today.
That's so kind of you, Gina. We really appreciate you talking to us.
We got it 10 o'clock.
Can we come back and visit you some other time?
Thank you for
Bye,
communicating.
Gina.
Bye, Gina.
Thank you, Gina.
Shut down the communication. Bye-bye.
Wow, that was wild.
It was crazy.
And it actually went on for some time. It to have that, if you to have it for the 20 minutes, it would even continue to be entertaining because it's just a word for back and forth. And I tell you, all of us actually, when we started having to break down to get our equipment out of there, we actually all were like, how sad. We're leaving. It's like we're saying bye. But I think maybe if we gave that little moment of a happiness to her for what people never come through there, and maybe take that time to try to get past that, if you're not getting a lot to start with. Paranormal investigating is this to me. It can be hours and minutes of boredom interrupted by seconds of pure adrenaline.
Right.
You can go over and over and over and just not much, and then boom, you start getting the conversation, and then you may start getting an interaction through either anomalies or other type, a visual compared with audible, and then you're like, wow, it's like the light turned on. So I kind of have my whole other thoughts on that. I'm actually going to be doing some research with some folks here. One, Mr. Tony Rossman in the future, and another person who I respect so much. And there's some things that collectively that I've talked about with him that he wants to get out and do. And then my prayer from that moving forward is another really super cool opportunity at a location that is probably one of the most paranormally active buildings that is not famous that I've ever been to. And the pictures, the audio of literally now over a period of months of hundreds of things that I've even shown, I think, some to Tony and asked, what is this? And a lot of people are like, I don't know, but they're just, anyway, that it's going to be for something very big that's coming that I'm working towards in the future that ties in with some research, ties in with this, hopefully with this, some filming, and then goes out for the folks to see. Because if this is something we're able to piece together and show, I think we could truly be on the cusp of having something amazing in the paranormal. And it's something I hold near and dear to heart. I really do. I gotta know. Could it be this is where we're at? And maybe this is that location that's going to have that magic moment and say, poof, we found it. This is it. We saw it.
Very
so it's amazing. An amazing location. Really is.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. And yeah, some of the stuff you were talking about, yeah, you and I have talked about, and when you guys are ready to do that, let me know and we'll make that happen. But
well, that's why I said it would really only be with somebody like you, Tony, because as you knew before I actually got to meet you, until I did meet you last year, I had really honestly followed your work and what you do and out there and said, wow, this guy, he's that looking further in the question mark, what if? And I thought that's the kind of people, even when I was in the fire service, that I kept going for. People who want to say, what if, what more, what is there? And that's how we do that, is people who have that knowledge that you just sit down and listen to, that are like mentors to you. And there's very few people that I put that level of time and effort that I want to, spend that with. And you're just one of them that you just, of course, you and your wife have been to places, and I listen to those EVPs. I watch those locations, and I'm like, that's a guy who gets it, who's not in it for, oh, Tony, look at me. No, you're about really trying to find the answers. And there's not a lot of folks out there that are, sadly, but you're one of them. So my hat's off to you, Tony.
Well, thank you, Keith. I greatly appreciate that. And, I'm surrounded by great people as well. I mean, my wife, Chris and Audra, who have been part of our team, and that all helps. But you're right. It's a passion. It's more than just a hobby. It's more than just going to check out some scary
obsession.
Okay,
well, maybe sometimes it goes from passion to obsession.
I agree.
Obsession. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have that where you can tell you're just like, what and I tell you, I think when the day comes that when this, if this all goes away, I'm to get out there and then research with you, and then we look at this location. You're going to feel it when you're in there. And when you pass through those doors, even if your wife, of course, has that ability as well, you're going to have that humming, that feeling of, yeah, I think this is it. This is the place.
Awesome.
Because what we're getting out of there on closed circuit, what we're getting out of there on audio and other things, I mean, it's evidence. It's not, oh, I think I heard. No, it's pictures and audio.
Right.
That's evident. It's I hear that this happened. Well, do you have a picture? No. Oh, I think I heard it. Do you have an audio? No, it's all there. And this person is so humble, like, Keith, what is this? I'm like, ugh, and I have to pass it on up the line. And even the people that are in this industry that are really well known, they're like, oh my God, Keith, what is that? And where is it? Right. And we've talked. And so it's amazing location.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, the next set of stuff that Keith had submitted to me are a bunch of photographs that were captured. And the first one that I have listed here is called Magazine. So, Keith, you want to give a little background on the photo they're about to see?
What is it? What is it called again? Or
Magazine?
Magazine. I'm trying to pull it up. Does it have anything else with it, or anything else that I could see?
GQ magazine.
It's a little brick.
Yeah, it's a round dome brick room. There looks like two devices.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So actually, that's on the floor. That's probably going to be Fort Mifflin, and then if that's the one that's in the Fort Mifflin, if I'm not mistaken. Where there's some stuff and there's an anomaly leaving that equipment.
Yes.
A couple of those. Yeah, actually, I had been asking the spirits because Sam says and this is one where it was like, this is rare, but I don't know if y'all have ever heard of this type of entity, but Sam called it a crawler. And he says, there's a crawler here. And no sooner, but in my grid, in my kind of cathedral and grid and lasers and equipment setup, it kind of blacked out and then went down by the equipment and it shoots past it. Everything in that path lit up, and I actually asked it, these objects, can you make them light up? Are you here? Is it you that is with me? And one of them, as bright as a streamlight flashlight in the night, goes by, sets off the EDI, and it was in Fort Mifflin. And I was now this is in the darkness, pure black darkness. I snapped some pictures, and the one, if you actually take the photo and if you're able to bring it up, inside of those spears of this actually very bright light are these cylindrical circles, and there is a face, defined eyes with a nose and like a mouth, and it's leading from this from the equipment as it lit off. And it's another one that ties to that. Can these anomalies actually interact with the equipment to change the atmosphere, temperature, humidity, motion, geofoam, and milligauss as far as that. Right. And it was damp and dark down there. And there was nothing else there. We didn't see any bugs with flashlights. We didn't. There wasn't dust. It was damp. That wouldn't have hold. It would have been sedentary. But it was only the one thing it could have been. And then, of course, we caught some very strange sounding voices as it went by, but they were just and trying to say something as it went by. But Sam actually called that a crawler, that it was a crawler.
Oh, wow. Fascinating. Fascinating. Okay, so the next one I have is called Portal Doorway at the Blacksmith House.
Right. So I think this is probably the second time that I actually was able to, what I think is get a picture and not even trying to. I think it's that I got it while I was taking the pictures. And I don't know if you guys do, but I'll take a lot of planned type photos. I'll be somewhere, walk around, turn, and get a photo. Go a little ways up, get a photo. I'm not walking up with a camera trying to get the picture. And at this time that I am back at Fort Mifflin, in the very back by this old 1700s like house, in this area, you hear a disembodied woman's voice. It says, "You need some help." But it was like a woman yelling to me, like a human somewhere around there. And I go looking. And my comrades were not very far away. I kind of say, "Hey, come here." And of course, they get over there. And I says, "Was any of y'all over here?" So they said, "No, we've been right here." Oh, so wow. As I go back, I guess it was days later, and look at this photo, you can see what looks very, very defined. And there's no mist or haze or shakiness of the camera or the light that would cause this. It's a very defined, it looks like a door. Other people who have gotten pictures like this that I kind of reached out to says they've gotten pictures like that as well. And they said, well, there's really only thing we know in the paranormal when it comes to a door. And a lot of them are kind of titled portals. So could it have been at that moment that I got the photo? And then as I turn around and start to walk, it's out of that. You hear, "We need some help." And I'm like, maybe she saw me going away, and it was like, and I go back to look where she was. There's no human there. And then I called up for the others, and they says, "No, we were over there." And it was a moment that I was like, wow, what was that? And of course, coming back and looking at it, it was, there's only been one other time, and that was in Gettysburg, but I think we'll have that photo as well.
Yeah, in fact, that's a really, really cool photo. I mean, you can, when you're looking at it, you see the little house in the background. You can see the little bridge that looks like it goes over a little stream. And then, yeah, there's this lit rectangular light anomaly in the back that does kind of look like a doorway.
Yeah.
And it's actually, it connects with what you just talked about, with just like this tunnel. this tunnel where Darren Martinson had been earlier was they were doing some daytime shoots and pictures. He was near, and I know we were, like I said, I was back there, and that links up to that tunnel. So do the spirits see that tunnel as a way for them to come through the tunnel, out through that way into our world? They interact with what they do, and then they leave back out of there, right back to where that tunnel goes. You know, you often hear about people saying that in the woods somewhere, maybe near a stream, there's a water for energy, or near some very place off to the side. And that place is way in the back of Fort Mifflin, and where that little quiet little place is. And that, you know, the photo before, no door. The photo after, no door. Right then, get the picture, and then as I turn around to walk away, I hear, "It needs help." And then I look, there's nobody. So it was just very strange of how that kind of linked together.
That's incredible. That's a great story, and I wasn't aware of the voices and stuff that you heard on top of that, but that's
I didn't have a recorder, and that was the thing. I had a body cam, and that's the thing about when you're walking, because you're making noises, you know, boom, boom, boom. And then unless you really get still and hold it out, but it was a disembodied. So I don't know if you've ever had success of maybe capturing a disembodied where you're trying to record. It's kind of that atmospheric type noises. And we're right by the Philadelphia airport. So contamination for noises was at an all-time high, no pun intended. But it was been very difficult to tone out airport noise. So kind of recordings, unless you were underground, was almost impossible.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But you know what? Sometimes those environmental noises, we've had multiple times where the spirits will actually use that environmental noise to help pronounce what it is they're trying to say or emphasize it. When we were in the Diplomat, that falling water, when it was pouring rain, they used that left and right to.
Well, even when we were at San Carlos, every time, like, you know, the
chair drag,
the floor,
but doors slamming, all sorts of things. We've noticed that if you pay close attention to. Now, an airport, that's pretty loud and might be a little too much, but yeah, they can do that too. So totally understand.
Wow, very cool.
Very cool. All right, so the next one I'm gonna play is what I labeled Mother Teresa, because that's what it looks like. You want to give some background on that one?
Wow. So this is the one I'm glad it's kind of like my encore, if you will, if you want to call it that. So we had went up to Gettysburg Bash, and my team members, of course, Carly Hall and Jack Henna, and then the mother of our group, Ellen McNeil, who actually has become a mother to me since I lost my mother. She was there to give a speech about her brother who was in the war. He died. And so we were there for a support, talking about the event and supporting her, you know, emotionally. So we went out to the north bank of Sachs Bridge and did some EVPs. A lot of contamination by noises, environmental, frogs, noises, people talking, but some of the things were pretty decent ones. But we were able to get that. Do you know Ellen McNeil? How are you connected to her? And he goes, United States Army. And then we were like, wow. And then we were like, well, but who are you to her? You heard like brother. And then the last thing that was very emotional is when we asked, do you have a message for her? And it was basically very short words. It was, please don't cry. She had been crying a lot because of the very emotional events. So they left. That was I believe it was Saturday night. So then Sunday, a lot of people had to leave. So me and John went down to a place not far from there. And I had a place where I get lots of really good evidence. So while we were there, we heard this extremely loud, like warping sound of like it's like a space odyssey, like a very loud over our device, like a warping loud sound. And then we were like, what is that? And then we were like, well, but who are you to her? You heard like brother. And then the last thing that was very emotional is when we asked, do you have a message for her? You know, like a warping loud sound. as I was snapping pictures, that sound happened. I take these pictures, and then as we go back and leave, get home that the next on Monday, I get to looking and I look and I pull the picture up, and I don't think it was hardly a day that I sent those pictures to Tony. I was like, look at this and see what you see. And I'm not going to tell you what I'm seeing, but tell me what you think you're seeing. And when he actually kind of said, this is what I'm seeing. But not only in the picture do you see that, you also see a soldier standing up looking towards us, like pointing towards us. So it's the soldier, and then Mother Teresa towards him is praying. And it's but you see like this very super bright behind the soldier and a super bright kind of behind Mother Teresa, like these two very bright lights showing these images.
Yeah.
And again, the picture
that was
before.
A great description. We've got a couple of questions for you, though, I'm seeing come up. Michelle is asking what kind of camera you were using to take like the last couple photos we saw and probably the one we're about to see.
Right. So they were actually phone cameras, just because a lot of times quickly for us, those are the ones who we've had quite a bit of luck with, because you can get so many quick photos and the quality is almost the same as what if you used a really an expensive camera, unless I'm going to go somewhere and like set up to take photos. Like if I were to go to Tony's at their place, I would set up my big Canon cameras on tripods, taking pictures, setting them up. These are like mobile little quick phone cameras that we have, and we just take a lot of photos. But we've got some really good stuff with them, so the quality remains through every time.
Okay, thank you for answering that. All right, I'm going to play this clip, and I actually put it into video format with a pulled away version, a medium zoomed in, and then a full zoomed in. So let me play that for our audience, and here it comes. Wow, I mean that's really incredible. That light is super bright, though. I mean, you can see that clearly lit up in the first photo, and when it then jumps to the zoom, you can see the gentleman like in between what looks like Mother Teresa in her gown and another light on the other side. There looks like a gentleman in a war uniform standing in between those two lights.
Right. So here recently, when I was in New Mexico, somebody pulled up on their phone like a Civil War or type, and when they did, they held it right next to the picture, and it just exactly with a belt coming down and across, it's exactly to that. So to the people that I've talked to about that, they said that apparently, from my understanding, is almost across the nation, that Mother Teresa has been in this angelic type praying for souls that have departed, and that's something that kind of common that happens is she's been photographed and other type events. So I think on the battlefield a lot that's a lot of times what happens is those. I think that particular space in the back of where this location is possibly is again, I think it's a portal. There's something about that back there that you almost lose time and space when you go back there. Like I knew how to get out of the woods earlier, and now I'm lost. That strange feeling that like you're just turned around, which a lot of people describe when they're in like a portal setting.
Right. No, yeah, I agree.
Should we play that again one more time?
That's a great idea. Matter of fact, I was just going to do that. It plays relatively quickly, and I'm sure the audience would love to see that again. So let me play that one more time for them.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
that's
looks like a face. It's the, you can see the nose, the mouth. It's a face.
which face. Let me play it one more time while Cherie's explaining it. Where do you?
It's right here.
Oh, that looks like a woman to me in a gown, hand, torch,
Yeah,
like
but,
Mother Teresa.
yeah, but from farther, when you look farther, you see it. You see the formation of the face.
Right. So what we did is we pulled up a picture just right off of Google, Mother Teresa praying. And so when you pull that up and then set it next to the picture.
One more time, like.
Okay.
No, they can still hear you. You that's fine.
Yeah, but and there's one photo that's on there that is like that's the mirror picture of the image we think we captured, which is her leaning forward praying, and then the other one, and it's like, oh, that's what. And people have said, yeah, that's what I was seeing, but they thought it was too angelic to think, no, there's no way you didn't get a picture of Mother Teresa. Well, at the moment, I wouldn't have thought I did either. But until I went back and pulled up pictures and said, what is this? Is it this? Is it this? And until I pulled up, and you see the little coming off her head,
Yeah.
and then her pink hands, her pink nose, and she's leaning forward. And you can see that I can't almost try to put in my mind anything else that it could be. It's like even when I got that to Tony, he says, "What do you think you're seeing?" And he goes, "Wow, I'll tell you what I think I'm seeing." And I was like, "Okay, I thought it was just me, but wow."
That's very amazing capture.
Yeah, it really is. And yeah, I remember you sending a picture that looked like, which was Mother Teresa, and it looked very similar to that lighted anomaly. So that was very cool.
She's very purposely praying towards the soldier, right? So it's not that it's just her by herself. Oh, it's Mother Teresa. No, you see the soldier kind of like leaning out, looking, and then she's leaning over towards him, like, "Grace be with God, with you." And that's how it seems like it tends to make more sense. But I even after that, and I talked to Ellen, that maybe he did. That was him for that one little second saying, "Thanks, Keith, for coming here." I think that's how I found resolve, that he went out and waved at me. He's like, "Thank you, Keith, for being here for my sister," because she wasn't there. So again, maybe because of my God-given blessings that he waved, and then Mother Teresa leaned to him as a blessing. Maybe that was where it all fit together. But I know since then that it even helped with Ellen, that she's felt this peace now, that it's okay. And maybe that's at the end of it, that it's really what it's about, is that we have this peace within our heart, that our loved ones are saying, "Hey, thank you, I'm still here, and thank you for doing what you're doing."
Yeah, wow, that's fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Well, Keith, is there anything you want to tell the audience before we wrap up here about maybe anything you've got coming up?
I know Keith is so in demand.
Busy. Yeah, I saw Keith's post about all he's doing, and I looked at Keith's post about everything that he's doing, and I was like, man, he's making me tired just reading it.
Well, the blessings kind of keep going, because I'm actually writing a template that I go and do investigations by. And as I started doing that, I started writing so much that now I've decided to write a book. And it's something that people have said, Keith, the way that you go do these and what you get, we've taken that and it's even helped us. And I'm like, well, then that's something that's so special to me. So I think with some research things and opportunities that are coming, and then with the book and some things I'm doing along the way, the show with Sam, some of these Paracons that people are saying, "Hey, we'd love for you to come to get to speak with Doug this weekend." I just continue to say that I continue to walk in the light. I'm blessed to have friends like you, Tony, and your wife. Of course, not getting to meet the Allgoods. But I always say I stay very humble. I never look at this as that it's about fame for it, because it's really not. If there was a Paracon across the street with so many people, and a little lady across the street screaming, "Help me, there's something in my home." My heart pulls to go help this sad little individual that I can make an impact on. The Paracon, there's hundreds of people there that are paranormal, many of which with their own thoughts and beliefs. But anyway, if I can go help a person and make that difference, and I get that hug when I leave that home, then that warms my heart more than it is about being up on a stage. And I think we help that one person every day. Then God is saying, "Hey, keep doing what you're doing. That's why I keep you here." So I continue to be blessed. Thank you for being on the show. Paranormal Rewind. I know we've got some amazing things going on in the future and guests. And so I just continue to be blessed. And thank you all for continuing to be a part with me and sharing this journey. It means a lot to me. It honestly does.
It means a lot to us too, Keith.
Yeah.
I love your outlook on the paranormal and the reasons for being a part of it. I think Shuri and I would say that we share that philosophy of, like you said, one of the biggest things was to help people suffering from paranormal concerns. And there's not a better feeling in the world than when you can walk out and know that you've accomplished something to put their mind at ease, to put their fears at ease, and to settle their life back. So really thought that was great.
Well, I appreciate it so much, so everyone, and I hope to get to meet you guys, Chris, and hopefully down the road in the future we'll get to meet.
North Carolina.
I know they're off to go, but there'll be a North Division and the South Division of the team.
Right.
There, so.
That's right.
Push Brandon for that experiment, and we'll get you out here.
Well, that's in the works. It's in the works. It is. I swear. Much love and light. Thank y'all for having me. Be blessed.
Right, Keith.
Thank you
Thank you so much for being our guest. Chris and Audra, wonderful to have you back on the show.
Wonderful to be back.
All right, everyone have a great night, and I'm going to sign us off.
All right, guys, stay haunted.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're still here. The live stream should be done.